Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our latest Shaw's Talk webinar in our Ask the Expert series. Today's topic is learning Chinese is fun. We're going to hear all about how Shaw's helps our children learn Chinese through our Shaw's Play curriculum. My name is Dana Newman, and I am the enrollment manager for Shaws Preschool Group. I've had the distinct pleasure of having both of my children go through Shaws myself, so very happy to be a part of that organization. To give a brief outline of today's session, we have Guo Jing here speaking with us about today's topic, learning Chinese is fun. We will then have a brief question and answer session to follow. We invite you all to use the chat function to send in your questions, and we'll get through as many questions as possible today. It is an absolute pleasure to welcome our Shaw's expert today, Ms. Guo Jing, our Chinese language specialist. Guo Jing is originally from China and has been in Singapore for 19 years now. In that 19 years, she's been with Shaws Preschool. She started off first as a Chinese teacher, then on to head of Chinese for the Brattle campus, then to vice principal of that campus, then on to vice principal of our Lorong Chuan campus, and as head of Chinese for Shaws in 2019. Guo Jing's current role includes working with all of the Chinese lead teachers in all of the schools, as well as the individual teachers, and she helps ensure the consistency and the quality of the Chinese lessons in all our Shaws classes. Guo Jing has two lovely children, 13 and 11 years old, who both graduated from Shaws and both attend local schools. A brief overview of our session today. Guo Jing will first share with us why and how she helps to make learning Chinese fun for our children. Then we will have that question and answer session. So again, we invite you to submit your questions via the chat function.
Thank you for having me. 下午好. English is not my first language, so do bear with me as I conduct this talk in English. Thank you, Dana, for that wonderful introduction.
Thank you for being here, Guo Jing. This was a Shaw's Talk topic that was requested by parents. And it's such an advantage, obviously, for children to be exposed to other languages. Our bilingual program is a critical part of Shaw's, and parents are always interested in understanding how our Chinese lessons are delivered, how our children seem to know so much Chinese, and how they seem to have so much fun doing it. So what is the secret, Guo Jing? How does your team do it?
Learning must be fun. When children are learning anything, if they have fun, they want to learn more. Actually, not just for children, right? Even for elders. If it's fun, we want to go back for more. Learning language is the same. We need to make it enjoyable for the children. The children shouldn't feel they are studying, and it shouldn't be a struggle with something they are not able to do. But I'm not saying this, it shouldn't be a challenging because children love challenges. But they need to enjoy it so that they naturally want to do more. The more they are having fun, the more they learn. But not only do they learn more, they develop a love for the language and often the love for the Chinese culture too. So, how do we make learning Chinese fun? Here are 5 ways which research shows how to make learning fun for children. Making learning fun, activities need to be developmentally appropriate. Lots of hands-on learning, learning through play. Make learning part of everyday life. Give children choices. Incorporate culture into the lessons. This is what research shows we should do to make any learning fun for children. And if you look at it, it really describes our Shaws Play curriculum, which is what we use for all parts of learning at Shaws. But let's go through each one and see how it relates to learning Chinese. Developmentally appropriate. This is so important. We need to give the children what is developmentally appropriate. This means that we provide the children with learning experiences that they are capable of doing and that challenges them too, but they are able to do. This means that teachers and parents, we need to be aware of the children's levels. Based on their development and their ability, and we provide the appropriate learning experience accordingly to match the objectives for the class. For example, in the pre-nursery and nursery 1, children sing lots of songs and teacher tells lots of stories with pictures. The children are just learning the language, so we need to provide them as much language around them as possible. Am I right? Yes. The aim here is to build their vocabulary, not just in speaking, but in understanding. So bearing in mind, pre-nursery children have just started speaking. So we want them to listen and to the language as much as possible. There is no need for them to write yet. In fact, their finger muscles are not developed yet. So a lot of language is done by talking and listening. It is important to give them what they need at this level. And their attention span is so short. We all know that, right? Yes, so the teacher cannot stand in front and talk and sing for too long. After a while, children will break into the smaller groups where they move around from activity to activity. But teachers don't stop talking. For the older children within nursery 2, the children are just beginning to read Chinese. We don't focus so much on writing Chinese except from the strokes and simple characters, except for the fact that Chinese is difficult to write. Yes, parents, we all know that, right? The children are still grasping the language in terms of speaking in sentences and learning to read. So in nursery 2, it's all about confidence. The children may be able to understand a large amount of Mandarin. We now need them to start speaking in sentences. Even if there are a few English words thrown in, for example, like in the photo, we can see while the Chinese teacher is doing craft with the children, the child asks for help or permission like this. 老师，我要 scissors. Then the teacher will say it again in Chinese and encourage the child to say it again. Then the child finish cutting will show the teacher a happy saying, what is that? 老师，小猫. Then the teacher will ask, 谁的小猫？是你的小猫吗？ Then the child say, neighbor's 小猫. Then the same teacher will bring in the Chinese words which the child is not sure with. 汉语拼 is another example. This is where Chinese is written using alphabets. We do this only after the children have a grasp of reading English. This way, it doesn't confuse the children. Once they understand the English phonics, they can pick up 汉语拼 easily. Trust me. Once they are in K2, when they are ready, we use a lot of play to let the children to know the 4 tones and how to pin do. Then the children will gain more interest on reading. Actually, you know why? Because they found that they actually can use the 汉语拼 to help them learn how to read the new words. That's why we always put a lot of Chinese storybooks which have 汉语拼 below in the K2 classroom. So it is important to ensure that we are providing children with developmentally appropriate activities. So children continue to learn and their confidence is not dashed. And they continue to enjoy learning.
That's so true, Guo Jing. I especially agree with the confidence part. It seems that confidence is really the key with children with anything. If we keep pushing children to do something they're not ready for, their confidence may take a hit and then there goes the fun.
Yes, Dana.
So I have a question for you. In a class, there are children with different levels of exposure to Chinese. Some may be better, some may just be beginning to learn. How does this fit into the developmentally appropriate activities that you were talking about earlier?
Yes, great question. Yes, in any class, not only in Chinese, okay, but for all areas, children are at different levels. Chinese in particular, in every class, there may be anywhere between 3 to 5 different levels. So this is where the Chinese teacher must be mindful of the different levels and cater to these. So for each activities, there are more challenging build-ups for those they may stronger in Chinese, and other activities for those who need a little bit time or exposure on some of the activities. Let me give you an example. While we are learning how to write a new Chinese word for K1, some children who have just joined us, or a few children still do not have a strong foundation in writing strokes. So we will need to make learning center like this. Look at the photo. Children will chase on the gel pad, which have stroke cut below. Once they chase few times and want to take a challenge, then he can try to copy the stroke on sun. Then we can use the whiteboard marker right on the word card, which for children like fill in the color. Then the children already have a good foundation on stroke and writing skill. Then after Chinese teacher teach, he can straight write on the workbook, while teacher will still provide the guidance. So from the above activities, we can see children are playing and not studying.
How fantastic that the children have all of those tools and opportunities to practice with these tools along the way. And that's part of your role, isn't it, Guo Jing, to ensure that the Chinese activities are creative and very hands-on? And is that how it's done in all the schools?
Yes, it is. Now the second one, the one I'm going to talk about this next. Learning should be hands-on, meaning children should be learning by doing activities, playing games, and so on. The children should be involved in their learning. So this is also known as learning through play. And that's what we do at Shaws. Now remember, learning through play, it doesn't mean children just playing with no goal in mind. That is part of play. But learning through play, if I describe it simply, is learning through activities. My colleague Serena did a ShawsTalks on learning through play last month, so you can have a look at that to get more details about learning through play. But for Chinese, that is what we do too. The children think they are playing. For example, the PN class in Nongchuan and Katong were learning about how do plants grow. As the children learn about plants, they don't just talk and show pictures. Children learn through activities or play. Okay, let's look at the photos. Children can pick up the related vocabulary like 种子 seed, 水 water, 阳光 sunlight, 土壤 soil, 发芽 sprout up, 浇水 watering, or phrases like 放进去 put in, 种好了 planted, 我会做 I can do it, and so on. In addition, they are also working on their fine and gross motor skills as they dig, pick up the seed, or pull out the weeds, as well as their social skills. While they are waiting for their turns, look after their friends, or share with their friends what they enjoy, and so on, which are all important and should be learned throughout the curriculum. Making learning part of everyday life. For children, they don't compartmentalize. Okay, now I'm learning Chinese. Okay, now I'm learning math. They see learning as a whole worldview. So learning shouldn't just be done during lesson time, which is what's well for preschoolers, since their attention span is so short. Language should be incorporated into everyday life. So every time the children see the Chinese teacher, they will automatically speak in Chinese, or at least assume that she will speak to them in Chinese. So during lunchtime, the Chinese teacher serves lunch and talks to the children in Chinese. So the children hear the words such as 吃午餐了, I have eaten lunch, 盘子 plate, 喝水 drink water, 青菜 vegetables, 我吃青菜 I ate vegetable, 好吃, it tastes yummy. So all these are learning experiences. During outdoor time, the same thing. The children were immersed in the Chinese language. For the older children, they may tend to speak in the language most comfortable to learn, which is why we do have the Chinese teacher to take over certain times or times where there is the only Chinese teacher there. So the children have to speak in Mandarin. Let me show you how our Chinese teacher communicates with the children in Mandarin as they walk up the stairs. Okay? ，Did you hear the children responding in Mandarin too? It's so cute, right? Making learning part of everyday life also means children learn best when they are learning the things around them. This also means that the unit of inquiry or what the children are learning shouldn't be apart from the reality. Instead, the children should relate to it. For example, they should be learning about things around them, which is why, especially for the younger classes, the units of inquiry are topics that are very familiar to the children. For example, the pre-nursery children are learning about what fruits grow in our garden. So when Lao Shi is engaging the children in learning things that are familiar and following the children's interest. Now I'm going to give you another example. Okay, with the nursery one learning how we take care of our pets as part of their inquiry. Children also learn how we take care of our pets and be a responsible pet owner. Then we have to bring our dog go for a walk. What if our dog poo? Then we have to clean up his poo with a plastic bag. Can't just leave on the ground. So our long-term infant children are in the garden learning how to take a dog for a walk and clean his poo too. But parents, don't worry. These are not real dog poo, okay? Just scrambled paper balls. Give children choices. It is important to give children choices. Let them choose the way they will learn. Children will enjoy learning what they are interested in. With inquiry-based learning, the Lao Shi follow the children's interests to keep them engaged and involved. When they are engaged and involved, they will remember. For example, our K2 classroom at Longchuan, which is near our kitchen. So as curious children, they had observed how our kitchen auntie works and meet them often. So our K2 children start to talk about how they feel for their aunties. Some even talk about to help auntie bring back the utensils and food bucket after lunch. What thoughtful children! So the teacher found the children's interest and decide the unit of inquiries as who are the community helpers around us. Also during learning center time, children have the chance to choose the activities they want to do. Of course, Lao Shi is watching them and ensure they try everything. This gives children the responsibility for their learning. For young children to write on whiteboard is so interesting. Parents, I'm sure you know that, right? So the teacher will give the children choices to draw and then talk about it. It's a good idea. Actually, parents, we can do it at home, okay? For older children, they learn to recognize and write Chinese words, not by just writing. Look at the photo. Children are using the Play-Doh to make a Chinese word. It's fun, right? Okay, incorporate culture into the lessons. Chinese is more than just a language. It is a whole world of culture, traditions, and much more. We shouldn't separate the language and the culture for the children. In Shaws, children will also experience a different type of Chinese cookery, like making dumpling, making mooncake. We also learn the fun and meaningful idioms also. Parents, you will be surprised. Children really love the idioms. Children also learn the fun dance and ribbon dance. Look at the photo. And one boy trying to hold a ribbon to dance with his teacher. We can see from his face how fun it will be. So through all these fun Chinese culture activities, children will cultivate interest and have fun learning Chinese language. So to summarize, these are the 5 things that are important to make learning fun. Activities need to be developmentally appropriate. Lots of hands-on learning through play. Make learning part of everyday life. Give children choices. Okay? Incorporate culture into the lessons. And with this, the children will enjoy learning.
Thank you, Guo Jing. It's great to see how Chinese is learned through play. After all, children must have fun, and learning is absorbed best when they have fun. I'm always amazed at the real life examples that the teachers create for the children to participate in as these learning opportunities. Now, with all of this, how do you monitor the learning in schools? How do you ensure that the children are indeed learning?
Yes, you are right. Children learn best when they are having fun and through play. But we need to ensure they are learning right. So all the examples I shared above, they all have learning elements. Each level at Shaws, the teachers need to focus on different things. Let me show you. Our Shaws play curriculum is, in summary, is inquiry-based and play-based with learning through play. A focus on academic skills as well as skills children need for life. Just like English, Shaws Chinese curriculum is progressive from pre-nursery to K2. In pre-nursery, we start children's journey in Chinese, first by guiding them to love the language through fun games, songs, rhymes, and stories. So we build a foundation first. Then, as we go from year to year, we build more skills and knowledge in the Chinese language step by step, all well as learning through play. Things that by the time when they graduate in K2, the children will love the Chinese and use the language comfortably and confidently throughout speaking, reading, also writing. But inside the Chinese curriculum, we have so many things. Let me play you a video and some of the things we do in our Shaws Chinese program. In the video, you can see so many things we do, but of course, we need to focus on different things at each level. And for each level, we have different learning areas. Let me show you, parents, if you are enrolled at Shaws, our list is available on your info packs. Under the curriculum section, you actually have all these at the learning areas, not just for Chinese, for your child's level. So for example, this one shows you the learning outcomes for Chinese language in pre-nursery level, like speaking, listening and drama, pre-reading skill and pre-writing skills. And similarly for nursery 1 and nursery 2 and K1 and K2 as well. Here are some highlights of our Chinese curriculum in Shaws. For example, at PN1, we do lots of music, singing, and drama. And then N2 and K1, K2, we work on building Chinese vocabulary. So we do everyday conversations. And we also introduce idioms, CRWR, and step readers to give them more opportunities to use the language they have picked up, and so much more. And at the end of K2, our children had built a lot of Chinese vocabulary words and also did so many show and tells. So they have learned to speak Chinese confidently with elders and friends, and also to express their own feelings. They now understand writing Chinese is not only knowing how to write Chinese words and sentences. It is so important they can pass a message or record some important things, because Chinese teacher brings in the writing in a fun way. To add off, here is a very quick video showing you how our children read Chinese rhymes in CRWR books. They are able to recognize and point at the Chinese word because they have learned these words in a fun way.
经常老鼠去做工，脸带血丝有点红，手中袋子肩上扛扛，爬出洞穴见天空。
Oh, thanks so much for that great video. All the videos of kids are so adorable and so proud of themselves. And thank you for explaining how much children learn so much about the Chinese language and its culture, and they do it all through play. Thank you, Guo Jing. So for all of you, we are going to go into our question and answer session. Thank you to all of you who have already submitted their questions. Guo Jing, we've got quite a few here, so thanks for staying on to take care of these questions here. All right, so question number 1 here. How can I help my child if we do not speak a lot of Mandarin at home?
Okay, try to play more Chinese song at home. Actually, you can ask the Chinese teacher for a list of Chinese songs that she used in the classroom. You also can find some Chinese storytelling from YouTube. Even some, they have the English and Chinese subtitles. Or true, if you're okay with it, you can let your child to watch some fun Chinese cartoons. But one suggestion, can you play games or drama at home with your child? You know, children like to acting as a teacher, especially acting as a Chinese teacher, then teach you Chinese. I'm sure your child will enjoy doing that and playing it, right? Hope I answered your question.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Some of the enrichment centers focus a lot on reading and writing. Should I send my child to these?
Enrichment class? Okay. As a preschool Chinese teacher, come to the reading and writing. Actually, we all be extra careful. We do it we need to be sensitive. Okay, how we do it. So when choosing enrichment class for your child, one thing you have to consider is the way how they teach. Is it interesting or fun? Although it's important for your child to know how to read and write when they go to local school, but it is also important to maintain the interest on Chinese to your child.
Okay, great point. Thank you, Guo Jing. Okay. What if my child is only half day? Will they miss out?
Okay, as I mentioned just now, at Shaws, learning Chinese is not a subject, but it's something is like children's daily life. So if your child stay with us a full day, definitely he or she will exposure a lot in language in terms of speaking with Chinese teacher and friends, and the learning about the language. But it is also important for you to decide based on what your family needs and wants.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. My child has no Chinese at home at all. How can I, as a parent, support my child? Okay, yes, this is a question that we get asked actually by a lot of our parents. I'm sure you've heard this over the years. How can parents help if they don't speak Mandarin at all themselves?
Okay, I think choose a best preschool like us, like Shaws. Okay, so don't worry, you will be surprised how fast they can learn, especially when they learn through play. Okay, but come to the reality. Okay, you can ask a Chinese teacher for Chinese songs and the more details updates on what the Chinese teacher teach within the day. So learn like the game and drama I suggest just now. Okay, so to let the child to teach you. Okay, so means when you're playing the games and drama, the child teaching you, actually she also doing revise it again. Actually, you also can okay, visit our Shaws YouTube channel to see the videos of our Chinese teacher doing storytelling. Right. You also can get more additional support as the child get older. Maybe have someone to come in to play with your child. Okay, so provide more Chinese speaking experiences to your child.
Great, thank you. So lots families can do, even if they don't speak Mandarin. Okay, great, thank you, Guo Jing. Here's another question. I have two children. One is great at Chinese, one is finding it harder. Is this normal?
This exactly seem like mine. Okay, it's very normal. I also have two daughters, and I have the same experience. I think what is most important as a parent, we don't compare them. Okay, we have to know some children are stronger in language than others, and we just make sure the one stronger in Chinese and can be lead and influence the other one. And as a parents, we have to be more patient and more sensitive to the child who is not really strong in Chinese. Okay, yeah, and we just give more encouraging. Yes.
Okay, great reminder of parenting in general. Thank you for that. Okay, we've got another one here. Thank you to everyone who have been submitting questions. My child who is not in N2, pardon me, my child who is in N2 understands Chinese, but they don't want to talk in front of me. What can I do?
Okay. Yeah, this is normal too sometimes. As a preschool Chinese teacher, we always encourage parents to speak more Chinese at home. Okay, but parents need to time to change your speaking habit, right? So please be more patient with your child. As a child, they also need time to get used to it. But please do not give up, okay? Do not give up, okay? Do not give up on speaking Chinese with your child because they are building the Chinese vocabulary. So they will speak Chinese with you one day. Okay? Yeah, 加油, parents.
Great. Thank you very much, Guo Jing. Okay, so this is kind of all the questions that we have time for today. Want to really thank each of you who's joined us today, and also, of course, Guo Jing for staying on and answering all the questions after your presentation. If we weren't able to get to your question, or you have another one that you'd like to submit, please go ahead and Guo Jing will reply to you directly via email. We do hope that you all can join us for our next Shaws Talk in our Ask the Expert series. That's going to be next Tuesday, April 20th. And the topic is sport is such an important part of the child's development. Again, these are topics, our Chinese topic today and sport next week, which parents have requested. So we're going to have Alpesh, who is our Shaws Little League Director of Sport, that will explain a bit about why sport is so important for kids. He'll talk about how each session is run for the different levels from pre-nursery to K2 and how development is observed and assessed. So at Shaws, the children have sports classes twice a week for the morning programs and a specialized sports class once a week as well in the afternoon. So again, that webinar will be on Tuesday, the 20th at 4 p.m. So please let us know if you can join. Again, thank you so much, Guo Jing, for spending time with us this afternoon. And we hope you have a great afternoon, everyone.
Thank you, Dana. Thank you, everyone. Okay, bye.
Bye.